Carrie Lutz's Financial Survival Network Substack. The Caribbean buildup, Venezuela is the spark, Cuba is the prize, and China is the hidden hand. It's a geopolitical psyop. Carrie Lutz, Dec 04, 2025. The media will tell you the current U.S. military and diplomatic posture in the Caribbean is about Venezuela, Maduro, and regional stability. That's the kindergarten version. What's really happening is a three-front strategic reset. 1. Venezuela, the collapsing Chinese-aligned regime. 2. Cuba, the ideological prize vulnerable for the first time since 1959. 3. Panama, the canal the U.S. is quietly negotiating to take back. This is the most consequential geopolitical window the United States has had in the Western Hemisphere in 40 years. And Trump knows it. Venezuela isn't just a dictatorship. It's China's beachhead. Maduro's failures are well known. Corruption, repression, economic destruction. But the part the mainstream avoids is China's deep penetration of the Venezuelan state. For over a decade, Beijing has pumped in $60+ billion in leverage loans, embedded surveillance systems modeled on its social credit controls, installed telecom platforms with CCP backdoors, secured oil rights and infrastructure, used Venezuela as a distribution hub for gang networks and narcotics pipelines into the hemisphere. China's criminal proxies have trafficked fentanyl precursors, synthetic opioids, chemical agents disguised as agricultural inputs, money laundering operations tied to Chinese state-linked banks, organized gang groups used for territorial control, human smuggling networks. Beijing doesn't just see Venezuela as an ally, they see it as a pressure valve on the United States. For Trump, this alone makes Maduro's removal a national security necessity. Will the U.S. fire a shot? Maybe not. But if it does, it's oil first. A full-scale military invasion is unlikely. Venezuela may collapse internally. The economic, political, and military rot is far advanced. But if limited intervention is needed, the first U.S. boots on the ground will not be storming Caracas. They will be securing the oil fields. Why? Oil is Venezuela's only viable economic engine. China's influence runs through hydrocarbons. Cuba cannot survive without Venezuelan oil. Maduro's allies, Iran, cartels, rogue actors would sabotage the wells. Stabilizing the oil sector ends the crisis without nation building. Venezuela can fund its own reconstruction through energy revenue. This is Trump's doctrine: stabilize the asset, avoid the occupation, let economics rebuild the nation. The emergency oil repair blitz, the real shock and awe. Once Maduro falls, the U.S. and private industry will unleash the fastest energy reconstruction program in modern history. Venezuela once produced 3.5 million barrels chuck today. Today, it limps at 700K, 800K. With modern tech and U.S. energy contractors, it could surpass historic highs within 18 months. Oil's unusual calm may simply reflect geopolitical reality. China is perfectly happy with lower crude prices, and with its supply assured, it won't challenge a renewed U.S. assertiveness in South America. Meanwhile, capital is rushing into metals and critical commodities China can't easily control, which is why gold, silver, and copper are ripping while oil drifts. This is the piece nobody in media will touch. Marco Rubio already negotiated the framework for the U.S. to reacquire operational control of the Panama Canal after decades of Chinese encroachment through commercial shell companies. China knows it cannot defend the canal in any crisis. The U.S. will not tolerate a Chinese foothold on the hemisphere's most strategic waterway. Reclaiming the canal is part of the same chessboard as Venezuela and Cuba. It's one regional strategy, not three. Cuba, the real prize. If Venezuela flips, Cuba collapses. Cuba survives on Venezuelan oil, Venezuelan financing, Venezuelan intelligence platforms, Venezuelan commercial fronts. Remove Maduro, Cuba loses its lifeline. Cuba cannot survive 6 months without Venezuelan petroleum. For the first time since 1959, Cuba becomes vulnerable to peaceful regime change. Cuba has mountains of repudiated sovereign debt, trading for pennies. If the regime collapses, this becomes one of the most explosive asymmetric plays of the decade. The post-Maduro hemisphere, a U.S. reset Venezuela, reconstruction boom, oil fields secured, economic stabilization without occupation. Cuba, regime loses lifeline, collapses under economic gravity. Panama, Canal returns to U.S. control. China loses its Caribbean beachhead and leverage channels. United States reasserts hemispheric dominance with minimal military risk. Final thought, the Caribbean chessboard is shifting fast. Venezuela is the spark. Cuba is the ideological prize. Panama is the strategic prize. China is the hidden antagonist. Oil is the entry point, not the exit strategy. History only opens windows like this once in a generation. Trump appears ready to climb through it. If you want to understand the cycles driving all of this, for a deeper look at the geopolitical and economic forces reshaping the world right now, the capital flows, the sovereign shifts, the commodity cycles, you need to read the Armstrong Economic Code. It's the handbook for understanding major turning points in global power currency collapse dynamics, the rise of commodities and hard assets, why silver and gold are moving exactly as they are, how to navigate the chaos of 2024-2032. Readers call it the the Rosetta Stone for global cycles, or just get the code now. If you're following the unfolding realignment in the Caribbean, Venezuela, Cuba, China, Panama, and the coming commodity supercycle, this book gives you the blueprint.